Hello everyone, my name is Joel. Today we are going to learn variables in C++. Now, you may know variables from middle school like x equals 5, x plus 1 and the result is 6. Like this, you may know many of the variables in middle school class. But now we are going to see variables in programming. So let's go check it. So you may remember variables can have a specific value. Since the value can change, these are called as variables. So we have two steps in writing a variable. The first one is declaration. The second one is assignment. So we are going to first see the declaration one. So we choose a data types which is essential for creating a variable. For example, let's use the data type called as integer. It's also known as int in C++, and we're going to give this a meaningful name like file size. Now, some people may give script names like fs or f1 or f2 or thing. These are all superscript, and in the US or in the world wherever you're going to work in. Instead, try to find a meaningful name for what you're trying to create. For example, you have a project for calculating the height and weight, and you need to check the file size of a file. Then use the name file size. For storing the value, here you may find why did I kept this here in the middle. Now you want to learn. Because this is called as cases. We want to see cases later, but not now. So after we need to keep a semicolon, and we are going to write in comments. You may not know comments yet. Write declaration, which means we completed the first step in making a variable, and that's declaration. We are going to use the second step, assignment. Now, when we need to assignment, I need to assign my variable to a meaningful, or I need to assign it to a value which I'm going to use. So we use the file size name and give this the value. For example, let's give the value 99 and terminate it. Now you may wonder one thing, why I am always keeping this semicolon. As I said in the previous video, this is the syntax, and let's see what happens if I didn't keep it by declaring a variable. So before I go to my console, my IDE will immediately show an error. So that's why we need to keep this a semi, comma, and assignment. This is assignment. So here, now you may not know about comments yet, but I'm going to make a video also on those. Now we completed the two steps in making a variable. The variable name is file size, and that variable's value is 99. Now what if I wanted to keep the file size and the value at the same line? This is a common question comes by people. Let me show you. So first I first delete the steps. We don't need to delete all of them. We're just going to delete this whole line and delete, and beside it we are going to give this equal, and the value what I want to give we can keep here, and that's 99. And if I go run it, one sec, I needed to first print it out. So before we run it, or else it's gonna show nothing, literally nothing. That's why we need to first make something which will run, and that's easy because we are going to use the cout for doing this. So cout less than signs and no need double quotes, and we're just going to keep the variable name, file size and semicolon. And if I go run it on my run screen, it will show 99. So this is how we can make a variable and print it out on your console. So now we are going to see types for declaring a variable. So we contain a couple of types in declaring a variable. We have integers, which we just now saw. Integers only take whole numbers like 12, as I said in the previous one as 99. Now if I give 12.3 and use cout to print it out, and on my console it gets an error. It gives 12. Now you may wonder why it didn't take the rest of the number. As I said, integers only take whole numbers and do not take decimal number. Either it will show an error or it will only print the number and do not print the decimal part. So next we also contain one more as floats. Now float is the data type, and I'm going to talk more about data types in the next video. But floats are called as floating point numbers, which means floats are used for making decimal point numbers. Now here I have a float a 12.3 and it's gonna print everything 12.3 rather than our integer. Our integer didn't even print 0.3. So that's why, remember, there are a couple of things we had to do. But what if I wanted to print? I want to use a variable that prints whole numbers and decimal numbers. This may feel interesting and you may believe it does not exist. Well, you're wrong. It's because these exist, and you need to use a data type called as doubles. Doubles are like the combination of floats and integers. So on my console, it prints out 12.3 and it will also print 12. As I said, it printed out. Now this proves that doubles print out both decimal point numbers and also whole numbers. But what if I want to use only the type that only takes one? There's another variable type that helps you with this, and this is called as the char. It's also known as character. For example, let's say maybe you have the grade. We are going to give grade the variable's name, and in one quote we are going to write the value. For example, let's think A. Let's give A the grade's value, and then if I go print out grade on my console, it prints A. Now, what if I wanted to? Now, characters can only take one type of character, which means if I add even more to it, for example, char, grade, and let's think, maybe I wanted to, maybe we wanted to keep this as a B plus. So B plus, and on my cons, it's going to print only the plus. Or if I keep, for example, maybe let's think a period of time. Let's keep maybe BC. And on my console, it prints C. And sometimes it may take errors. It's because characters only take one type. And that's why you only take one type and we can't give it more. We need to overload. It will call as overloading, and I want to make a concept also on overloading. Now we contain another one, and that's the booleans. Booleans, now like our previous ones, only resembles numbers, while booleans are limited. They only take two. The first either true nor false. So we will set boolean is male like this and give this a true or false. For example, let's think maybe I'm a male, so I'm going to keep this a true. And booleans don't get printed. Let me show you. Is male. We want to write is male, and it won't get printed no matter what. And on my run, it will show that this whole thing and it's a monstrosity. So now booleans may not be printed, but that's the thing about booleans. Booleans can help you check things. For example, if you are writing a large line of code, then if you want to check if I have that variable, if I have this variable, if I have those variables, with the help of boolean, you just write boolean is present, boolean, and you keep the variable name is there and set it to true. If it's wrong, that means you didn't declare it. So that's booleans. And now we still have chars. Characters have only one, and if it's only take one characters, then it's not that much useful. So that's why C++ has something called as enumeration. We can use enum, and in braces we write these. Now let's give the enumeration a name. Now last time we gave this a grade as the name, and we're gonna make this have the grade. For example, we have F minus, and let's maybe say A plus. Next, A minus, and so on. So there are many, and we're going to print out the grade. Now, when we are making an enumeration, we need to also know about reference. Reference is like a data type which I'm going to tell in the data types videos. Looks like there's a lot to be covered in data types videos. Well, these are the basics of creating a variable. Next, now we want to see a couple more like the cases. As I said first, there's some cases which should be followed, and I'm going to show now. So the first, we want to create the data type, and let's give this file size and terminate it. This is called snake case. Next, we're going to declare another one, and you're going to keep this file size. This is Pascal case. Next, we contain file size. This is camel case. We're going now. Camel case. And last but not least, we contain the Hungarian notation. Now, the Hungarian notation is an old notation, and it's not that much relevant, but I see people still use it. And let me tell you, the Hungarian, now let me explain how these all form. The first is the snake case. Now I have two letters, file, size. So file is one word and size is one word. So that's why in the middle I kept a gap. For example, if I keep now maybe Ismail is, and I keep down male, and this is also the snake case. The next one is the Pascal case. The Pascal case is the same case. For example, I can again change this also, but I'll keep in capital one is male without any gap, any no spaces, and this is called the Pascal case without any gaps. Now the next one is the camel case. This also is so hard to understand, but you can also see is male. Everything small, no gap, and that is the camel case. And last but not least, the Hungarian case. The Hungarian case is where people get mostly confused. Now, if I want to write is male, but I write I-S-M-A-L-E. Now you may wonder, why did I write two I's when Ismail only contains one I? Is because Ismail also, when we are writing the Hungarian notation, we need to also keep the data type which we are using to create the variable's first letter. Since the data type means integer and the first letter is I kept I is male. But what if I change it to doubles? Then instead of I write D. But what if I write floats? Then instead of D, then I'll write F. So this is the basics on cases. Now as an exercise for all of this. Now as an exercise, I want you to write code that swaps the value of two variables. For the variables can be whatever you want, and I'm also going to write in code in our C++. So please work for a couple of minutes, and if it didn't come, don't feel bad because it's your first time in C++ and I will show you the answer. So before we write code, we need to check how this is done in real life. So let's compare in real life with code. So first we are going to contain two buckets. The first bucket is full of apples. The second bucket is full of pineapples. Now let's do it here. We are going to create a bucket. Let's imagine our integer is our bucket and integer a equals and 1 and terminate it, and in the next line our second bucket integer b give this the value 2. Now we have two buckets. Now the thirdly we need to have a third bucket, so let's do the third bucket. We will name the third bucket as temp, and the temp value will be to a. Terminate it, and after we give temp the value a, which means we are using the apples bucket to make it go to the third bucket. Next we need to make the pineapples our apples bucket to get our bucket of pineapples should go, which means I am going to give, after this I need to give a the value of b, and terminate it. Next I need to give b the value of a, and last but not least, in real life we need to take off the third bucket, but in code we can't take it off, so we are going to directly run it. So I'm going to take it off, and here first you want to display a, and on my console it prints a to 2. So that's the swapping of two variables. And as a last exercise on variable cases, I want you to write manual, subscribe and like in all the cases, and the solution will come as I already explained as two examples in cases. So thanks for watching this video on variables, and please like and subscribe for continuing the C++ series, and don't forget that every day new things are coming on C++, and you're going to learn more about C++. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.